Guys, here's the second half of my Geek Room tour, which I started the other day. It's a lovely sunny day today, hottest day of the year, so what better way to spend it than inside with the curtains drawn, looking at some DVD shelving. What are we doing with our lives? So I think last time I got as far as the Xbox 360 games, so just here, before we move on to the DVDs, are the Ninja Turtles, of course, or Hero Turtles as they were called here in the UK. There's the 4 original figures that you couldn't get for love nor money when they first came out in the 80s over here. So I had to pick them up on eBay as an adult to make up for my poor deprived childhood. There's Splinter and April O'Neil, of course. I think that's a later April O'Neil figure, but only by a couple of years. It's not the first release of her. Shredder, I always thought was a weird figure. I don't know why he's topless and throwing some shapes. There's Bebop and Rocksteady and a foot soldier who turns into a robot, if I remember correctly. Possibly not. It's been a while since I transformed him, to be honest. Here are some action movies. So we've got the Quentin Tarantino ones here. They're all great. Inglourious Basterds, love that. Some more random action stuff. Moving on to war movies. Band of Brothers is a classic series. Watch that if you haven't. And we've got Saving Private Ryan next to Mortal Kombat for some reason. I guess there's kind of a connection, isn't there? That's actually Mortal Kombat, the series Conquest, which was on quite a few years ago now, and is of variable quality. Beverly Hills Cop, love those, apart from Part 3, which is a bit rubbish. Crank, those films are absolutely insane, especially the second one. It's actually absolutely balls to the wall mental. So I might talk about that in some more detail in the future. Okay, down here we've got some sci-fi comedy, Ghostbusters, and we've got Third Rock from the Sun. That's the complete collection. I think I've only watched the first disc of that so far. I mean, I watched it many years ago when it was on TV, but I'll have to do some more watching. Red Dwarf, complete collection, including Series 10, which is really good. If you haven't seen it, if you kind of gave up on Red Dwarf a few years ago because it wasn't funny anymore, then give the latest series a go that was on the channel Dave over here in the UK. As the BBC had kicked it to the curb so cruelly. Some comedies now. There's some Monty Python stuff. Men in Black movies. I like them. Number 2's not very good. Scary Movie. Can't really defend having those on DVD. I do enjoy them. They're kind of guilty pleasures. That's the first 4. I haven't seen number 5 yet, but apparently it's pretty awful. I might like it though, but I've got pretty weird taste sometimes. Some more comedies. I'll probably go through these in more detail at some point. Kevin Smith movies. Comedies, Blues Brothers, Wayne's World, all the classics. Moving on to TV comedy, there's the 3 seasons of the 3 series rather of the League of Gentlemen, and the movie Psychoville, which is very similar. It's got quite a few of the same guys in it, and by the same kind of production team. Blackadder. This is Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan kind of area of my collection. I love those guys. Alan Partridge and Marion and Jeff, and I don't know what the first season of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is doing in there, but never mind. I don't think Steve Coogan or Rob Brydon are in that, but it's been a few years since I've seen it, so who knows. Men Painting Badly, love that show. It's pretty much the complete collection, and maybe I'm missing a Christmas special, but I'm not too bothered about that, to be honest. IT Crowd, Still Game, which is a Scottish sitcom, really funny. More classic comedy. We've got a couple of series of Porridge, Fawlty Towers, some random Dad's Armies, extras. There's The Complete Stepturned Son. I love that. Some of the younger viewers may not have seen it, but it's a great comedy if you can track it down. Peep Show, really funny. Arrested Development, that's a great series. That's an American sitcom. It's hard to explain and do it justice, but it's really funny, very well written, great characters. I think the 4th season came out exclusively on Netflix, but I'm sure it'll come out on DVD if it hasn't already. Ricky Gervais stuff. Carl Pilkington, I love. He's Ricky Gervais's stupid mate. That's the latest series he did, The Moaning of Life, which is the first one without Ricky Gervais, but it's very similar to an Idiot Abroad, if you've seen those. Some stand-up comedy down here. Ricky Gervais, sticking with the theme. Bill Hicks. Stuart Lee. Here we've got some South Park. Some more stand-up comedy down at the bottom. Eddie Izzard, Doug Stanhope. South Park, I think I've got up to season 8. Yeah. Ren and Stimpy hiding under there. Not literally. There is some random animation stuff, including a rainbow DVD for some reason, featuring Zippy. Bought in one of my more eccentric moments. How to Train Your Dragon. It's a classic. Okay, I'm just checking the time. We're doing okay. Moving up here, this is more animated stuff. Some Family Guy, the original Simpsons Tracy Ullman shorts, which is where the series very first started, as little interludes on either side of advert breaks on a comedian, her TV show, The Tracy Ullman Show. Rocko's Modern Life. I don't know if any of you remember that. Not many people do. They'll just kind of get blank expressions staring back at me when I mention it. But it's a Nickelodeon cartoon from the early to mid-90s, I think. I don't think that's the complete series, but I managed to track down the first 4 volumes. There's some Futurama, season 2, 3, and 4. Season 1, I'm not sure. I think I lent it to someone and I didn't get it back. Damn. Futurama, they're the feature-length movies that they turned into season 5 when they chopped it up into episodes. Some more kind of kiddie stuff. Ninja Turtles, that's the next mutation, the rarely seen and rarely talked about follow-up, live-action follow-up, in fact, so people in costumes like the movies. It's not great, to be honest. It's got a couple of decent episodes, though. It's not as bad as everyone says it is. Well, I don't know. You be the judge. Some Transformers stuff. Hate the Transformers movies, but I have all 3 of them because they're Transformers, aren't they? I'll probably talk about them more in the future. I do love Transformers, I just hate the movies. Third one I watched again yesterday, and it's pretty much as bad as I remember. Mask, do any of you guys remember this? Mobile Armoured Strike Command, 1980s, kids TV show, really good series of toys as well, with like cars that turn into boats and all sorts. More kind of kid stuff here. Thundercats, great series. That's the complete Thunderbirds, the movies, and the more recent movie, which wasn't very good. In fact, it was pretty bloody awful from what I remember. Angry Video Game Nerd, that's a collection of his episodes, like the first 100 episodes, I think, that I put onto DVD. If you haven't heard of him, then check him out. Some musicals and stuff. Breaking Bad, fantastic series. Only got the first 3 seasons so far, but planning on picking up the other ones. Okay, moving on to... This is kind of, I don't know what this section is really, random kind of weird drama and stuff. Yeah, as you can see. And then moving on to gangster films, which I only really got into a few years ago. Some Prison Break, I guess kind of crime drama is this area. And now moving on to horror. The horror part of my collection has expanded greatly recently. And we've got all the Paranormal Activities, which I like. Part 4, I hated it when I saw it at the cinema, but I'd only watched 1, 2, and 3 a couple of days beforehand, so I think I was kind of getting burnt out. Then I watched it again a couple of months later and thought it wasn't as bad as I remember. And the new one, the marked ones, which has only just come out, I just bought that yesterday, but haven't watched it yet. Missed it at the cinema as well, so looking forward to watching that. Tell me if you guys have seen it. Moving down here, that's the Tall Man from Phantasm. And this Phantasm collection of films behind him, you can just about see. It's kind of a cult 1980s, 70s? No, 80s I think, series of movies. And there's a number 5 coming out soon as well. So worth watching out for. More horror stuff. All the Hannibal movies. Where do they start? There's Manhunter. And all the other ones, that's Hannibal. That's the Blu-ray of the first season, which is great. If you haven't seen it, it's very grisly, but very good. All the Hellraisers. Hellraiser Revelation is terrible. That's the most recent one. It's like, I think it's the 11th Hellraiser movie? No, 9th. And it's not the original Pinhead in it. Apparently they just made that really cheaply to retain the rights, so they could do a reboot a few years later, and it really shows. It's terrible. That's a little Hellraiser cube that I made. Found the pattern on the internet and cut it out. Printed it on some gold card. That's what I do with my spare time. Okay. And more horror stuff. Down here, the Underworld movies, The Ring, The Grudge. Some more random ones down there. Okay, so that's about it. Thanks for watching, commenting. I'm going to make some more videos looking at more parts of my collection more in depth. And also thanks for your requests. I see a couple of you have commented asking to see certain things and with certain questions and stuff, so I'll do my best to answer those soon. So I shall be on YouTube more frequently these days.